For today's paddling adventure, we'll be heading to the first place I ever put in. Back then, it was called Mud Lake, but since 2021, it has been known as Lake Mark Kramer, after the prolific local conservationist who devoted much of his life to protecting the surrounding wetlands. We'll launch from our familiar stomping grounds at Bay Area Park, located at 7500 Bay Area Boulevard. Here's a quick overview of today's route before we dive into the details. From the launch, we'll head east around the park's boardwalk and shoreline, passing the Armand Bayou Nature Center boathouse to port. After a short jaunt, we'll reach the junction where Lake Mark Kramer branches to the left and Horsepen Bayou branches off to the right. We'll take a brief trek into Horsepen a bit later, but for now, we'll hook left onto Lake Mark Kramer, hugging the swaying marsh grass along the northern shoreline. In spite of the continued heat wave, this portion of the paddle was pleasant, with a steady breeze and some temporary cloud cover. The winds would gain strength throughout the day, but for the moment, the open water was fairly placid. Following the lake's natural contours, I soon came upon a several-fold series of linear wooden posts emerging from the water. Perched atop each post were 1 or 2 gulls, with a lone cormorant thrown in just because. While snapping a few photos, I became aware of an inlet leading into a small cove that I hadn't noticed on any prior outings. This is one reason I often prefer to paddle close to the shoreline. There are details you simply may not notice from farther out. Paddling between the old posts, I entered the small, circular cove. There was an alligator to starboard that gave me only a brief glimpse before thrashing into the water. Aside from that, it was an exceptionally tranquil spot. With this new discovery under our belts, we'll head back onto the lake and continue east. Approximately a quarter mile ahead, we'll pass several signs marking the boundary where powered craft may operate, though wake awareness warnings are frequently posted as well. Shortly thereafter, we'll pass several beautiful homes, along with a few residential boat slips to port, followed by a private community paddlecraft launch. Keeping to our course, we'll soon paddle beneath some power lines. A bit farther still, we'll arrive at the remnants of an old pier that today proved to be fertile ground for waterfowl photography, as dozens of pelicans, along with myriads of gulls, had claimed the derelict dock. Beyond the remaining pylons of the old pier, you'll notice a staircase leading up to a building just barely peeking through the shoreline vegetation. This is the Harris County Youth Village. A bit farther ahead, we'll travel along the shoreline of Clear Lake Park's northern section, adjacent to Clear Lake Park. Here, a keen eye will spot the boathouse of the Bay Area Rowing Club, the Bay Area Museum situated in a picturesque old chapel, several floating piers, a public kayak launch, and a fishing pier. About halfway along the park's shoreline, we'll cut right, paralleling the parkway to port. From here, you'll be able to spot several notable landmarks, including the Endeavor Tower, the South Shore Harbor Resort across Clear Lake, the Hilton, and the remaining outbuildings of the demolished West Mansion, originally built in 1929. You'll also spot the passage into Clear Lake beneath the western end of the NASA Parkway overpass. It's here that we'll ease back in the direction from which we came, following the opposite shoreline where we'll initially be flanked by a row of luxury townhomes. A short distance ahead, we'll detour into a western drainage branch. Though short, this stretch offers a tranquil reprieve from the lake's relentless expanse, with its narrow, meandering passage that terminates at a steel grate. When water levels are low, this section can be tricky, but thankfully there were no such issues today. We'll head back along the narrow passage with the Endeavor Tower rising off our bow, before once again bearing left and maintaining our course along the shoreline. The wind had picked up by this point, but was still quite manageable. This return stretch of the lake continued the theme of expansive skies reflected across gently rolling waters. Around mile 6, we'll arrive back at the junction where the lake meets both Armand Bayou and Horsepin Bayou. Aching as I was, I couldn't resist taking a brief trek into Horsepin's opening waters, in hopes of catching at least a gator or two on camera. Unfortunately, none were to be found, likely due to the heat. Even Rocky, who is usually camped beneath his familiar arbor of foliage, had abandoned his signature spot. Still, it's always comforting to be on this secluded stretch of meandering bayou backwater. I paddled on a bit before taking the Horsepin cutoff back to the lake junction. From there, we'll simply paddle back along Armand Bayou, paralleling Bay Area Park before sliding back into the launch and concluding a journey of just over 8 miles. My final thoughts on this route are as follows. With the exception of extremely windy days, this paddle is a pleasure for paddlers of virtually every skill level. It offers more shelter and a far more nature-centric atmosphere than Clear Lake or nearly any of the other adjacent open water stretches. On this route, you're also far less likely to encounter powercraft, and even those you do are generally wake-restricted. The opportunities for outstanding wildlife encounters are excellent, especially when conditions are favorable. Other advantages include multiple launch options and the flexibility to extend your journey onto Clear Lake and beyond, as well as easy access to both Armand and Horsepin bayous. The Lake Mark Kramer circuit is a versatile paddle that can easily be tailored to suit paddlers of all persuasions. Give it a shot. Paddle smart, and God bless.